So I had a realization the other day. Well, more of a no shit Sherlock moment, because it kind of seems obvious to me now. But I still want to talk through my theory and see what other people think. So to set this up, I'm going to be talking about Made in Abyss. And if you haven't seen it or read it, then what are you doing here? I'm kidding. I'm going to be avoiding spoilers as much as I can. I'm not even going to be talking about the main story anyway. I'm going to be more focused on the whole. Sorry, I had to make that joke at least once. More specifically, I'm going to be focused on one aspect of the Abyss called the Curse of the Abyss, or it's also known as the Strains of Ascension, which probably gives you a better idea of what it is. To give some background information, the Abyss is basically a giant ass pit. It's broken out into 7 layers, each with their own unique environment. It's extremely dangerous. In addition to all the fun Lovecraftian creatures they have, there's also the Curse of the Abyss, which is what I'm going to be focusing on. You get the curse as soon as you step into the abyss, but it doesn't affect you immediately. Instead, it affects you on your way back up, hence why it's also called the Strains of Ascension. According to the wiki, it hits you as soon as you go up about 10 meters, or about 32 freedom feet for everyone in America. And the further down you go, the worse it gets. So the way that it's described, and I'm going to be doing this from memory, so we're going to see how well I remember this. You think of it like a blanket. So the further down you go, the more blankets get thrown on top of you. It's fine on the way down, but whenever you want to go back up, you basically have to rip through the blankets to ascend further. And it's the ripping of the blankets that causes the curse. At the start, it's not that bad. You go down to the first layer, you go back up, you're going to get some light dizziness, some nausea. But the third layer, you're getting vertigo and hallucinations. And then the fourth layer decides you haven't learned your fucking lesson and decides to kick it up a notch. In addition to everything from the layers above, the fourth layer also adds intense pain and, I quote, bleeding from every orifice. Fun. The fifth layer takes that and adds in sensory deprivation, confusion, self harm, and by the sixth layer, you're either dying or losing your humanity, which basically means you turn into a blobfish. And that gets me to my theory. I saw all these symptoms and I realized this is just fucking decompression sickness. Now, let me over explain. Say you were scuba diving. Further in the water you go, the more water pressure increases, the more air compresses. Because of how air compression works, your body gets more oxygen and more nitrogen. The more oxygen is completely fine, the more nitrogen is not. And if you go up too fast, that excess nitrogen basically forms little bubbles in your blood and your tissue, and it doesn't go well. And that's what decompression sickness is. And guess what the symptoms are? Dizziness, vertigo, numbness, extreme pain, coughing up blood, etc., etc. Okay, now most of the time, it's not going to be that bad. You'll go up a little too quick and you get joint pain and nausea. But there is an actual risk. If you dive down too deep, too much pressure, and you come up too quick, you could actually die or turn into a blobfish. This is a terrible thing for me to be joking about. I'm sorry. Look, I get it. It's not a one-to-one match. I didn't list out all the symptoms of the decompression sickness or the curse, so there's probably more differences there than I'm leading on. But I'm saying is that the mangaka took decompression sickness and made it fucking magic. But that's just my theory. And I'm going to blame me not seeing this sooner on the fact that I avoid deep water like it's actually going to break my kneecaps if I get anywhere near its territory. I don't know a whole lot about deep sea diving or anything that goes with it. So basically, I'm blaming my ignorance on my ignorance. Anyway, let me know if you agree or disagree. I just noticed the next season of Made in Abyss is coming out really soon, so I'm gonna go watch some trailers. See ya. On a side note, the town around the top of the abyss is called Orth in English, and to me, it always looked like someone was looking at the list first, second, third, and didn't know what to put for zero. So they just made up their own. Called it the Zero Earth layer, or Orth, because it looked better. Now, you would think that would be some kind of clue for how the abyss works, but I don't think that's what's happening here. Or is it?